Today I'm going to show you how to enter a service request in EAM. EAM is also known as AssetWorks, their previous name, and to access the program you go to the Sound Transit Hub and look under Sound Transit Links. In AssetWorks you have the tab up here at the top that says Service Requests. If you click on that, it pulls you into the module that you need. Now if you've entered a service request before, that's going to show up down here below. As you see, I have two in before. These were for testing purposes, so they show up. But the first time you go in, there won't be anything there. To enter your first service request or anyone after that, go up here and click on this button, Request Services or Report a Problem. The system automatically populates your employee ID, and that's all you need. I'm going to show you something. If you ever want to enter a service request for somebody else, you can click this little ellipsis button right here and then delete what is up here, and you're going to know them probably by their name instead of their employee ID. So come down here and choose you're looking for their name, and then type in part of their name and hit search. If this is one of the people that you wanted to do it for, all you have to do is click there to select it. But that's not what we're doing here, so I'm going to exit out of this. That's just a side tip. Okay, so now it has your name and you know that it's ready. Go down here and click the next button. Now the importance of this second step, we're going to tell it where is the problem. And the thing you need to remember always is that you're going to search for an asset. And an asset in here could be something like a car, or it could be a whole building, or it could be a transit station or something like that. But you have to search and identify that asset before you move on. For training purposes, we'll enter a work order for a clogged toilet in Union Station. And so if I want to do that, then I type in Union. Now at this point, if I hit the enter key on my keyboard, or if I go down here and click next, it's going to act like it actually got the asset, but it's going to end up leading to me getting error messages down the road and having to come back to this step. So always make sure that you click on search for the asset ID, because you have to identify the asset first. In this next screen you can see that there's quite a few assets that have the name Union on it. I can go up here and I can modify what my search criteria is, or I could exit out and go back to where I was before. But an easy way to limit these things down is actually to come over here and use the asset category IDs. There's other criteria you can search by, but these aren't really as useful because most of the time you aren't going to know what that information is. But I know that in my case I'm searching for Union Station, and that's a building. So if I go over here to Facility Building and click that, it narrows it down to the one with Union. The only building with Union in it is Union Station. You can use multiple criteria here, and for example, another one that you might use quite often is for finding a station out there. So if I look up here and find the station and click that, then it pulls in stations. Now these aren't just these kind of stations, there'd be transit stations, there could be train stations and other things. So use this to narrow and to expand your search if you think you have it good. Another thing you can do, and this is just a side tip, if I bring back that big list, if I go over here and I choose table, it'll pull it up in a table form, and then I can sort by whatever it is that I'm looking for. If I know a model, I can sort by model. If I have an asset ID I'm looking for, I can sort by that. Anything I want I can sort by. But I'm going to go back to lists because that's what you'll use most of the time. And again, if I click on building, that's what I want. So I'm going to click on the asset that I found that I want. Now I've gone to the right step of looking and finding the asset ID, And so I'll miss the errors down the line that I would have got if I'd have skipped that by hitting the next button. Here it'll give you a little bit more information on the asset that you've been searching for, and it also tells you of any problems that have been recently reported. Now in my case, in doing this training, I've already put in a request for the clogged toilet, so those show up as open. But if I knew that somebody else had reported an actual problem, I could just cancel out of this work request right now and leave it. But in our case, we'll go ahead and take the next step. Click Next. At this point, you need to identify a symptom code. And so for symptom codes, you just click on this little button here, the ellipsis, and then you choose whatever it is that you think is closest to the problem that's there. In our case, we know that clogged toilets are handled by janitorial services, so I'm going to click that. And when I click this, it's going to bring up a second screen of options, but that's not always going to be the case. This one's set up to show that, and so there's clogged toilet. That's what I'm looking for. Now I could click that, but first I'm going to show you a little tip. If none of these really work and I want to go back and search for a base symptom again, I go up here and click on this All button, and it takes me back to where I was before. You can exit out at any time and go back in as well, but I'm going to click on janitorial again and choose clogged toilet. Now clogged toilet is populated as the symptom. Priority codes can be in letters or they can be in numbers depending on however the asset has been set up. But what you do know is that any number that's less or any letter that is previous in the alphabet is going to be a higher priority. So whatever it says here is what it is. It's going to start off as a basic problem. If this is an emergency, then I know it's going to be a 1. If I hit 1 and then I hit tab, watch what happens to problem over here. It turns to emergency. A priority 2, if I hit tab, is going to make it a degradation. If it's just a project, like someday I want something to get painted, and I click 4, then it's going to be just a request. I can also click this ellipsis button over here and then remove the criteria that's in there and click search, and it's going to show me all the possible ones. But normally all I need to do is just give it the number that I think is correct. This moves to describe the problem. This is extremely important, and what you want to keep in mind is you want to give them all the information that you'd need if you were going to respond to this, because when they show up they need to know how urgent it is, they need to know what the conditions are, they need to know what tools and parts they need to bring, they need to know exactly where it is that this is located. So I can do that by entering the information. For example, in my case, I'm going to say this is the men's room, 2nd floor, side, and the back stall. I'm going to say it has overflown, not currently. And I'll even tell them that the wallboard is wet or it's damaged. And that's going to give them a lot of information that they know to respond. Now I want to tell them about the conditions too, so they know what exactly has been done. So I'll say that the stall is blocked and signed out of order. That's a lot of good information, and it's going to save them time as they respond, so they know what they need to bring, where to go, and how to respond. So at this point, I can go down here, and if I have photos that I have on my camera or devices portable that I'm entering, I can put those in so they can see exactly what they're dealing with by attaching photos. I can attach a photo, I can scan in something if I have a scanner attached, I can put on a link to a web page if that's going to help. Whatever it is that they're going to need, you can add that here. And then for my sake, since these were going to go in live, I'm going to block out what I wrote because that was just a demonstration, and let them know that this is just a test. When I'm all done with everything, all I have to do is click finish. But before that, if I wanted to enter another work request for Union Station, I would click this button, and what that'll do is it'll save me all of the first steps that I had to take to get to this point. I don't need to enter another service request, so I'll leave that unchecked and I'll click finish. So the entry that we just put in is right there, and you can see the status right now is pending. That'll change quickly, but in the meantime, this tells me that the service request is in, and it even gives me the service request ID number. So anytime I want to come in and check on this request, all I have to do is log into EAM, go in and click on the service request tab, and then check the request. As you can see, that's already been opened. It's being addressed. So that's how to enter a service request. It's pretty simple. If you need help, please contact your EAM admin. Thank you.